So for our first learning exercise, we're going to look at setting up the software you need for this course, particularly the Bluej Integrated Development Environment, or IDE. We'll be using Bluej throughout this course and the next course, CIS 2087. Bluej also relies on the Java Development Kit, or JDK. You may be running some Java programs already, but you're probably using what is called the Java Runtime Environment, or JRE. So you will need to install this JDK in most cases, unless you've been, developing Java programs on the side. Now, if you're in the computer labs at Scholastica or using the virtual labs, this is already installed. But I assume most of you will be using a personal computer or some other computer for some of the coursework, in which case you want to go through and install Bluej. If not, it's good to just watch and see how to install Bluej and how to set this up. So we're going to go to the bluej.org website. Right away on the front page, there's a download links here. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. There's a couple options. So for Windows, there's this combined installer that installs Bluej and the JDK. So we're going to do that. We're going to ignore, I think most of you want to ignore this option where you download the JDK separate from the Bluej installer. It's just easier to do them combined. So I'm going to click on here and install this. I've already actually downloaded it, so I'm just going to have to cancel that, but you would save that. Now, if you're on a Mac OS, you're going to want to choose one of these two options. And so one option is for newer versions of Mac OS, and one is for older versions of Mac OS. If you don't know what version of the Mac OS you have on your computer, just Google check Mac OS, and there's some simple instructions about just clicking on the blue Apple icon and choosing about this Mac, and it should give you the version number. So again, you want to download and install one of these. When you do these, try to pay attention to where you're installing them. So again, I've downloaded this installer, and I'm going to look at that. So I've opened up my downloads folder in Windows. Here's my bundled installer. I actually downloaded both, but this is my bundled installer. It's a pretty big download, so it'll take a while to download on most computers. I'm going to run that now. I've already installed this, so it won't let me install it again. But you just walk through the installation. Pay attention to where it's installed. Generally, it's Bluej is installed in the C program files x86 there. We'll need to know where this is installed later on, because we'll have to go into this library area and add some extensions. Not today, but in a future exercise. Same with the Mac. Kind of pay attention to where the installer is placing this. In general, you can choose all the defaults for these installation packages. Okay, so let's go back to this exercise. So we've gone through, again, we've walked through, we've selected the right version of the installer. Now we're going to test out our environment. So hopefully you've run Bluej, and it's created an icon for, or a start menu or something like that where you can run it. So on my desktop, I have this Bluej shortcut. You may have to go up to your start menu or under applications to select Bluej, but somehow get Bluej running. Let me move it into the screen so you can see it. So it opens up the last project I've opened. For you, it may open up just a blank project. So anyway, we're just going to start with a new project. So I'm going to go into a project and do new project. And I'm going to refer back to our instructions. So we're going to create a new project, and we're calling it Learning Exercise 1 or Learning Exercise 1 or something like that, so you can keep track of that it's a learning exercise, which one it is. And then we're going to do that. So new project, and again, I'm going to locate the folder. I've got a folder for CIS 2085 here where I put all my work, so I'm going to put it in here. You might want to create a folder for this course, and I'm going to just call it Learning Exercise 1. I'm going to call it Recorded, because I actually have other versions of learning exercises out here, so I'm going to just have that. So to call it something so you can know that it's the project for the Learning Exercise 1. So create that project. So now you should have a blank window here with just a little file here. I'm going to delete this other or close this other file. I don't need that open. So here's my first project, learning exercise 1, and I'm going to create a new class. So I'm going to click on new class here and give it some name. In the exercise it'll say call your class hello printer, because this is going to print out hello world. So I'm just going to call it hello printer and leave it as a class. So just give it a class name, hello printer. And I'll create this little class here. Now we'll talk more about what this is. We're just going to test it out, so I'm not going to explain too much of what this does yet. That'll be in future labs. So we just want to make sure that Bluej is working, so we need to be able to run a simple program. So I'm going to double click on this hello printer and look at this class here. Now I'm going to go back to my instructions. Okay, so I've created a new class, called it hello printer. Here's our little picture. Now I double clicked on a hello printer rectangle, and I'm going to erase all the code and just paste this code in its place. So I'm going to copy this code out of here and then go back here. So I've double clicked on the hello printer class. I'm going to highlight everything here. I can hit Control A or something, or just highlight it all, delete it all, and paste in that code. And this code is just going to say hello world for us. Go back to our instructions. Okay, so there's our code in here. Now I'm going to click compile, and we should get the message that there are no errors. And then we're going to, so I'm going to hit compile, this compile button right up here. It said class compiled, no syntax errors. So if there was an error, if I didn't paste this wrong or had some other garbage up here that I didn't get rid of before and I compiled, it'll say some error statement down here. So just make sure you delete everything you will have in there and then paste in that whole code and hit compile, and it should say class compiled, no syntax errors. We don't want any errors. So I'm going to close this. So now I have this compiled program. Now I'm going to right click on this and choose this void main routine here to run this main routine. It's going to bring up a little dialog, and you can just hit OK here. It'll bring up what we call the terminal window, where we'll display and input information, and it'll just say hello world. So that just means your program's running, compiling, and executing your Java. This is your first Java program successfully done. I'm going to save this and close this out. So hopefully you saw this hello world. Now hello world has a long history of being the first program people write. There's interesting Wikipedia entry if you want to just look at some of the history of the hello world program here. So what do you need to turn in here? So I want you to submit your hello world helloprinter.java file as part of your assignment. Later on we'll package up the entire package, but for this time you can just find that. So if you go out to wherever you saved your program, so again I had a CIS 2085 folder, and inside that I created learning exercise 1 recorded. Now there's a couple files in here, and this is a helloprinter.java file. There's a couple other ones, but I just want the helloprinter.java file submit. So in Blackboard, just submit that one file. And that's all you need to submit for this learning exercise.